voted for. I voted for Trump 3 times. I'm for America First. I didn't vote to send money to Israel. Now, first off, I love how these anti-Semites, they don't complain about foreign aid to any other country, and we give it to countries all over the world, right? Just Israel. But I pointed something out to him that he did not know. And even after I told him, he wanted to ignore it. And I said, well, yes, we do give foreign aid to Israel with a very unusual and pretty big and unique, although unusual and unique is the same thing, condition. Do you know what it is? Well, I just know that I'm America First. We shouldn't be giving these people the... Yeah, okay, all right. Say it louder, and people will think you don't know, that you really know what you're talking about. He didn't know. Here's the deal. Yeah, we do give a lot of money to Israel, and here is the condition. And so far as I know, out of all the foreign aid around the world, I don't know of this condition existing with any other country, okay? We give a lot of money to Israel on this one condition. They have to spend the money in the United States. Did you know that? Well, if you listen to me regularly, you probably do, because I mentioned that a few times. Yeah, they have to spend all the money in the United States. So that's America First right there, because it gets reinvested into the economy, and the things they're buying are military equipment, which are high-paying manufacturing jobs and tech jobs right here in the United States. So how's that not America First? I'm America First. Okay, all right, anti-Semite, tell yourself that, okay? So anyway, getting back on track here with Jake Paul. I don't care what your opinion is of Jake Paul. I know he's a controversial figure and all of that, and for different things. I don't know, or I don't care about any of that. This is what I know. He stood up and stood by President Trump during the campaign, and he still stands by President Trump, which is a lot more than you could say for these other big-mouth Gen Z influencers, or Megyn Kelly, or Tucker Carlson, and a host of others. So I got a few clips. I want to start with the big one, though, because I don't want to drag it out and tell you I'm going to share something. I don't want to wait till the end. It's a pretty good interview. If you haven't watched it, when you're done watching me, don't do anything till I'm done here, okay? But watch the whole interview. I got 2 or 3 clips, but this is the one where a story came up that I have never heard about President Trump. And I thought I knew everything about President Trump. Wow, did you ever know that? He broke up. Now, I don't know who the other person was in the fight, but that's the kind of tough guy president you want. Look at the past presidents we've had prior to President Trump, right? Breaking up a fight is a bigger deal than actually being in the fight, right? Because what happens a lot of times when guys get into fights out in public, whether it's at a bar, a club, a game, or something, people get mad, they start arguing, and then all of a sudden there's a fight. And a lot of times they've gotten into something without thinking clearly. A guy like President Trump just talked about, who intervenes and stops the fight, that's someone who's thinking. And it's really dangerous, because 2 guys are fighting, you're getting in the middle, you could get hit by each of them. It's a pretty tough thing to do. And not a lot of people do that, break up fights. Right? I mean, and so think about this. And and I know some of you never Trumpers and lunatics out there that, aren't MAGA. You may say, oh, so what? I broke up a fight. My buddy broke up a fight. Really? Name another president, one who's done that. And when's the last time we've had a president? Think about this. When is the last time we had a president who would do something like that? Think about it now. When is the last time we had a president that was tough enough to stand up and break up a fight? I'll go back a little bit. I mean, Biden. I don't think so. Biden, no. Obama. Can you see Obama breaking up a fight? No. George W. Bush. Now, George W. Bush did do something once. He was in Brazil, and one of his Secret Service men got attacked, and he intervened, and he didn't break up a fight. A Secret Service man got into a scuffle with a person in the crowd, and Bush reached in and grabbed the Secret Service man's clothes and pulled him back in, but he didn't break up a fight. Bill Clinton, are you kidding me? The only fights he'd get in are acts of violence is when he's giving women bloody lips like he did to Paula Jones. I mean, you go on back to George H.W. Bush? I don't think so. Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, now is the last one. And he didn't do it like Trump did. Ronald Reagan, and he had told this story, and what Trump did, much more riskier than what Reagan did. Reagan, this was like in the 40s. And there was no central air like we have now. He was in his apartment, upstairs in his apartment. He heard a woman screaming down below on the sidewalk. He grabbed a pistol and pulled the pistol out and got the guy to leave the woman alone. So that was in 1940-something. So like 80 years. So the last time we've had a president that did something like that was like 80 years ago. And that was Ronald Reagan. And he was president 40 years ago. So it's been a long time, right? Half a century. So that's a pretty tough thing. And Trump didn't have a gun. Reagan had a gun. So you know, you get a little more courage when you got the pistol in your hand. If I remember correctly, it was a 38. So Trump is a pretty tough guy. All right, here's another clip of Jake Paul's interview with the president. That's the fight right after the Never Trumpers shot him in Butler. Yep. Yeah, pretty crazy, huh? Think about that, man. If the PowerPoint were on the side of the stage it was normally on, it would have gone a different way, wouldn't it? It's pretty amazing. And you know, those of you that oppose President Trump, okay, think about this. I want you to think about this now. Those of you that oppose President Trump, when they shot President Trump in Butler, do you know why they shot him? Why did the Never Trumpers shoot President Trump in Butler? You know why? To stop him from doing everything he's doing right now. Think about that. It's true. That's true. Oh, and when he got up and said, fight, that's amazing. I got a picture of that right over here. Let me see if I can pull it out and show you guys. My wife took the picture of the president fight and had it framed. And I keep it in the studio on my wall over here. And that's it, man. That should be the official portrait, really. The mugshot's a good official portrait, too. But that's something else, isn't it? It certainly is. And they shot him to try to stop him from doing everything he is doing now. Okay, this is the final clip I'm going to play of Jake Paul interviewing the president. It's about Iran. Yeah. And, you know, I was reading some of the liberal papers today, including the Daily Mail was the one I read most recently. One of our tankers went down over Iraq. as of the moment I'm speaking, we don't know the exact reason for the crash, and everyone on board the aircraft died. But they did say it was not Iran, right? It wasn't like a military action. They weren't hit. They weren't attacked. There was some kind of accident or mechanical failure. But I would think an accident's most likely. I mean, these refueling jets is very dangerous. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. And it happened over Iraq. But the liberals are counting that towards Iranian war dead. And they're in a combat zone. Don't misunderstand me. I don't want to take their sacrifice away. But when I went on the air on the morning show today, I told you guys this mid-air collision. They're saying, yeah, it's most likely. What I told you guys this morning when the story first broke, I said, watch. The Never Trumper mainstream liberal media will have smile in their voice when they're talking about that today, because the more Americans who die, this is how sick the media are. This is how twisted the liberals are. This is how demented the Never Trumpers are. That when Americans die over there in the region during this conflict with Iran, they view that as good news because they think they can turn public opinion against Trump. Isn't that something? It's pretty sick, isn't it? It's pretty sick. Now, you're welcome to call in if you have any thoughts on Jake Paul in this great interview or anything involving these other influencers that were all pro-Trump during the campaign and have dropped him since, these phony balonies. You're certainly welcome to call in. If you're watching live on YouTube, the number's pinned in the live stream. The number's toll-free 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're located. And remember, the Brian Craig Show is available wherever you get podcasts. I'm going to move on to some other topics, but I want to remind you guys that if you're a Patreon supporter, and you can become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're listening on. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get exclusive access to a lot of insider things, okay? And today I actually did 2 live streams just for Patreon supporters. I did some live streams yesterday. I regularly live stream on Patreon. These are exclusive to Patreon supporters. You get to hear me talk about a lot of things I will never cover on the channel here. A lot of insider things, a lot of personal things you'll never hear me discuss anywhere else. And if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to all of that, including commercial-free editions of my podcast. But you get access to the Patreon exclusive live streams. Again, a link to my Patreon page is in the description of the program on whatever platform you're tuned in on, or go directly to patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. That's patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. All right, so check that out. Okay, so this former Miss California, Prejean, she's lost her mind. I'm going to start from the end here. She went on with Tucker, and I haven't seen her for a while. I forgot about Carrie Prejean. Is it Prejean or Prejean? I don't know. A number of years ago, it's been a long time now. I don't know how many years it's been exactly. But remember in the Miss California pageant, she was a finalist, and Perez Hilton, who I haven't heard about. Perez Hilton's still around, used to be a big deal, was one of the judges, and then in that Q&A session, asked her a question, and this is before gay marriage was legalized by Obama, so it's been a long time, and like around 2010 or something, asked her about same-sex marriage, and she said she believes that marriage is between a man and a woman. Remember that? And they took the crown away from her for all that. Very controversial. And from the moment that happened, conservatives, and this was before President Trump came down the escalator, Carrie Prejean was embraced by conservatives nationwide for her stand in favor of traditional marriage. And she was destroyed because of her conservative Christian beliefs. And that led to President Trump appointing her to this religious panel and this second term, and she got on and she started talking crazy. Now, before I play you the crazy talk, President Trump removed her from the panel. Before I play you the crazy talk, she was on Tucker Carlson's show this week. See, Tucker likes to have all the famous anti-Semites on. If you're an American and you're famous and you hate Jews, you'll be the next guest on the Tucker Carlson show. He likes to have fellow anti-Semites on. So, of course, he had her on. And she's talking about the president and how she got to know him and how he's treated her since. Okay, so this is the end, and then I'll play for you the video of her that, well, got her exposed for being what she is, an anti-Semite. This is the Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk conspiracy.
We're already going there, so let's just go there. So what happened at the Hamptons? That was a meeting that Charlie had with, among many others, Seth Dillon, I think Bill Ackman.
See, this is the vast Jewish conspiracy to silence Tucker that he likes to go through all the time. And then let me pull up the other clip of her. Hold on, I got one more clip of her. Hold on, where did I put it? It might be the end of that one. Hold on, I've lost my spot here. Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up. Okay, let me play. Okay, yeah, let me play the rest of it. I might have to fast forward a little bit. Yeah, let me fast forward a little bit. Here we go.
I said, we'll just go there. I mean, we're already going there, so.
Oh no, okay, went too far. Let's go. Doesn't she know? Okay, see, here they go. Okay, so, I mean, this is just bizarre. And, you know, when they talk about Charlie Kirk said this and Charlie Kirk said that, see, dead men tell no tales. So they can go around and claim that Charlie Kirk said anything under the sun, and there's no way to correct it, because he's not here to correct it or put in perspective. Because how many times have you changed your opinion about something? And then I'm not going to play this part, but she went on Tucker Carlson to talk about how she had been friends with President Trump since the incident happened at the Miss California pageant. She had been friends with him for many years, stayed in touch with him. When there were controversies, she would go on Fox and she would defend him and talk about how she's let him down because he's not allowing her free exercise of religion, which she says is to bash Jews and bash Israel, and he removed her from this religious panel. Well, just because you're friends with someone or have been friends in the past doesn't mean when you're president of the United States that you can that it's okay for them, as they represent you, by holding a position you appointed them to and say crazy anti-Semitic things. So this is Carrie Prejean, whatever her name is. This is what started to get her in trouble.
Back up to August, I was starting to speak out about Gaza. I couldn't deny my eyes. I couldn't deny the fact that there were innocent children starving and innocent families slaughtered and bombed and just the tremendous amount of suffering that I've witnessed with my own two eyes. So I started posting. I started talking about it, and I started, posting about what Pope Leo was saying about, the genocide in Gaza. I know he didn't use those words, but I'm using those words because it is a genocide, in fact, the Holocaust.
Wow, she's accusing the Jews of committing a Holocaust or attempting to commit a Holocaust. She's using the words of Pope Leo, although he didn't say this. She's saying it. And let me see here. Is this the same clip or a different one? Hold on, it might be different. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, now she's nuts. So first off, this thing about her religious beliefs, she says because she's Catholic. I'm Catholic. The Catholics don't think this. You can be a Catholic and think these stupid things, but she's not speaking for Catholicism, okay? Oh my goodness. And, this talk of genocide, she's completely crazed. You look at her, she looks crazy, okay? And all conservatives, including myself, we supported her. We supported her when she was under a little bit all that heat over defending traditional marriage, but that doesn't mean she has a free pass with this stupidity. Insofar as being critical of Israel, you don't have to agree with everything Israel does. That doesn't make you an anti-Semite. What she's done is saying that the Jews are committing genocide against the Muslims. And that we're slaves to Israel. And then her and Tucker are sitting around talking about this vast global Jewish conspiracy. And of course, Charlie Kirk agreed with all of this, but since the Never-Trumpers assassinated him, we can't ask him his thoughts on this. Do you really think that Charlie Kirk would be supporting this? I don't think so. And I'll tell you one thing that she did that was a big mistake. You know what the biggest mistake she made, other than this? Was getting these oversized veneers. I mean, she obviously is a very good-looking woman. She was very pretty before she had the veneers. I don't know what possessed her to have these massive veneers put in her mouth, but she looks very strange, doesn't she? I don't know why she did that. But she looks crazed. And you know what? She looks Candace Owens crazy, doesn't she? She really does. There's the way she's presenting herself, the way she's handling it, the look on her face, her tone. She's Candace Owens crazy. All right, now listen, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, you're welcome to call in about anything I'm covering on the program today. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. My name's Brian Craig. This is The Brian Craig Show. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, we're back. It's the Brian Craig Show. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in. If you're on hold, hang in there. And the person on the screen, those of you watching on YouTube, that is not a Buddy Holly impersonator. That is not Elvis Costello. It is Rachel Maddow. That's right, Rachel Maddow. The positions that President Trump has on most everything, okay, are universally good. When I say most, because if you're not an American, they're not universally good, right? Like if you are a member of the Islamic government in Iran, it's not universally good. If you are a drug cartel leader, it's not good. But if you're an American, and I don't mean a North American, or a South American, or a Latin American, I mean a United States of American. If you're a United States of American, everything President Trump is doing is universally good for Americans, when you think about it, right? Ending this 47-year war, deporting the illegal, everything. I don't have to go through, everything he's doing is great. The Save America Act requiring government-issued photo ID to vote and proof of citizenship to register to vote. These are things that there are no arguments against. And I've seen a lot of combat operations and wars in my time. This combat operation with Iran, I've never seen the liberals lacking a case against any military conflict as much as now. They always have had arguments against the war. They may have been wrong. Maybe they were right sometimes. But I doubt it. The only thing they were right about was the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but that was just luck. That was just luck. That was a broken clock kind of right? It's right twice a day. But you look at this military operation against Iran, there is no argument against it. We've taken out their entire government. There's no functioning government left. All that's left are some local military commanders and local Revolutionary Guard secret police officers around, and they're taking them out individually right now as we speak. The Strait of Hormuz, I just read about an hour or so ago that the president's sending 5,000 Marines to the region for the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but I read that in a news article a little while ago. But we have done this with pretty much 100% air power. It's amazing. And Elvis Costello, Buddy Holly here, Rachel Maddow. She's I guess this is her podcast, or she's a guest on a podcast, and she's trying to make a case against liberating the 93 million people of Iran from this Handmaid's Tale-like government that they have. Listen.
If Trump was waging this for a more noble cause, I think Democrats would have to really, thread the needle in terms of
A more noble cause. What would they do if you were an out-of-the-closet lesbian to you in Iran? What would they do? If you were an out-of-the-closet lesbian in Iran, you know what they would do? You'd be executed. So how could she make a statement that what President Trump is doing is not for a noble cause? There are so many noble causes with what President Trump is doing with Iran that if you and I sat down and tried to write down off the top of our heads a list, we could have a long list, everything that you and I could think of, and it would still be an incomplete list, because there's so many noble causes with the liberation of Iran. But anyway, Rachel Maddow, let's go back to her. Now, don't you like this? Hear what she just said? This is. I love this. Listen to this. This is our Princeton grad. She thinks she's smarter than anyone else in the room, right? So she has no argument against it. So she said, it's so wrong, you don't even have to say it. You just have to gesture and point, and people will know that it's wrong. What does that mean? You know, it's simple what it means. She cannot think of a coherent argument against liberating the world of this terrorist government. All right, let's see what else she has to say. What poll is she talking about? The most liberal poll has it about 50-50. And over 80% of Republicans support the war. Really, it's more around 90%. So, and you can tell she knows that's not true. That's why her voice is so high, because she's just making this up about the poll. So her voice is getting really high. Listen. Here, public opinion polling. The public is against it. But the one who's dead? The Ayatollah's son, the new supreme leader Ayatollah, he's dead too. And he's dead, Rachel Maddow. He's dead. In fact, he was dead when they named him the supreme leader. That's why we never saw him. This is Alex Wagner. She's one of the MS Now hostesses, too. Oh, nice language. Now, all these millionaires, they're worried about the price of gas. I've been saying this since this began last week, okay? The gas prices, it is price gouging. First of all, the gasoline, even still today, tomorrow will be 2 weeks since this began, okay? The gas at your local gas station is gasoline that was refined from oil that was bought and paid for long before this Iran conflict began. That's number one. So, local gas station owners determine the price at the pump. And they're all raising the prices because everybody else is, and they're blaming this war on it, okay? It's price gouging, no doubt in my mind. Also, the United States, we are the number 1 producer of oil in the world. We produce more oil than any other country in the world, including Saudi Arabia. We're drilling so much oil, we can't refine all of it, and we're exporting oil out of this country. We have so much of it. We don't get our oil from Iran. On top of that, we just partnered up with the Liberation of Venezuela, and they've been shipping oil here by the shipload. So there's no shortage of oil whatsoever in the United States. It's all price gouging. And you know what? It's common sense. All these people in the media, like these 2 idiots, they know that just as much as I do, but it doesn't fit their agenda to tell you the truth about gasoline prices. On top of that, the prices aren't that high, okay? They're not that high. They've gone up a little bit, but the war's been going on at this level for less than 2 weeks, and so what? So what? It's 50 cents more than it was a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Come on. There are people out there risking their lives every moment of every day, flying combat missions over Iran, and you're whining over a couple of quarters a gallon? Are you kidding me? I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back, I've got more to share. If you're on hold, don't go anywhere. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Back after this.